All right. Good morning, Senior Home Business family. We are on live today. A little technical difficulties and all this kind of stuff, but that's the beautiful thing about being online sometimes, right? And you have to face that even in this business and maybe some other businesses. But when you meet people online, they're not going to know how to get online, and you may know how to get on, but you got some Wi-Fi issues and all that. I mean, Brittany, how many times you've had that kind of issue? I've had it tons of times.
Yep.
It's aggravating. I kind of assume that technology should work all the time. It's kind of like the car should start all the time. Everything in the world should never fail and never have to be repaired. And I get impatient when it comes to that kind of thing. So anyway, that's my little rant this morning about technology because I love it. And then sometimes I just want to throw it out the window. And I won't say the name too loudly because we got one downstairs and one upstairs, but I can't stand Alexis. I can't stand that. My wife loves that thing, man. Alexa, set a 20-minute timer. Alexa, do this. I'm like, Alexa, I'm going to throw you over the wall of my
Yeah.
backyard and trash you. I hate that thing. It just starts playing music randomly. And anyway, enough of the Alexa's rant too, but that's part of technology, right? And today we're going to talk about this business that we always gloat about because we love it, right? Helping seniors at no cost, no obligation. And just in terms of being a senior placement agent, and it's called advisor. There's a lot of referral agents. There's a lot of different terms for it out there, but you're helping seniors. And we're going to talk about how to establish a business when you're working a full-time job, because that is very difficult, I think, Brittany. We're going to go over 7 different ways that people can help start their business while they're working a full-time job. I think, and it's just my own opinion, I could be wrong, even though I didn't start this way because I couldn't because of a conflict of interest. I always think it's best when you're starting something like this that you keep your other job so you don't have the pressure, the anxiety of paying your bills and things, and you just keep going along doing that. And then you just got to maximize your time, maybe 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, and whatever your lifestyle may be to get the other thing started. And then when the other thing is started and gets up to about where you are financially, what you're making from the other job, maybe you part ways at that point. I don't know. What's your feeling on that before we get into the 7 things? Is that the right way to think, or should you just dive right in and let's go for it?
I highly agree. I mean, I did that myself. Speaking about personal experience, I kept my full-time job as long as I could, and as long as I felt comfortable. I think it takes a lot of the pressure off of, it's already a lot of pressure to start a business, no matter what it is. I think it takes a lot of the pressure off, I need money right now, or like this has to sink or swim, which is a way to do it. You did it that
Yeah.
way. So I'm not saying it's negative. I think it takes a lot of that pressure off. I also think in this industry, it doesn't scream. Like when you need money, you're probably going to scream you need money. Like we all
Yeah.
know that it's
Yeah.
possible. So I think it in this industry specifically gives you a little bit more time to do it the right way, to really make good connections and not be so money driven, which I think is, we all are. We're all business owners to a degree, but we're all going to have that drive. But putting seniors first in our industry, I think, is of course number one. So keeping your full-time job gives you leverage to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And even though like you alluded to, I couldn't do it because I was working with an assisted living memory care community and it had been a conflict of interest. But I always encourage people that when I talk to them on the phone, they're talking about this business or they want to know more about it. Guys, you want to know more about this business and what we're about to talk about, you can drop down, click a link and watch a free webinar, schedule a consultation with us and all that stuff. But I always tell them, I would, as long as it's not a conflict of interest, man, keep your existing job. You're making 65, 85, 150, whatever you're making per year. You're living within your means. You got a budget. Now everything that you're going to make in this industry on the side is just gravy and it's on top, right? And you can, maybe you want to bag that money and kind of save it and, invest it and watch it grow a little bit. And maybe that's going to give you some of that security that people sometimes seek after. And I know there's no security out there. Everybody thinks that, I've got a full-time job, so I'm secure and I'm going to, work here for the rest of my life. I know I got a family member who's been working with a certain company for the last 10 years. And he just found out like he's going to lose his job within 12 months. Now they gave him a 12-month notice, but so your job's not secure. I mean, I've had plenty of jobs before and I thought they were secure. And it's kind of like, oh, they're closing the doors. My mom did that. She went through like 3 jobs, her last 3 jobs before she retired. And she stayed until they closed the doors. And so, I mean, you look at statistically in business, I mean, every 3 years. I mean, if a business go beyond 3 years, they're doing something. A lot of them close within the first year. Most of them close within the first 3 years. They run out of money. They run out of clients. They run out of, the way to pay their bills and things like that. But if you get beyond that, then you're doing something. So let's get into it. Let's get into with the assumption that you're going to keep your job and you really want to start a business, whether it be the senior placement, business, or whether it be something else entirely. We're going to go through, and what you're going to have to focus on is not one of the 7 things, but we're going to, throughout this conversation that Brittany and I are going to have, we're going to talk about time management, because you're going to have to be a master of your time. You're not going to be able to work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, full-time job, party with friends, sleep in, go to bed whenever you want, watch the game all the time. You're not going to be able to do any of that stuff. Matter of fact, if you really want to get your business off the ground, right? But I don't know, Brittany, that's just, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And if you don't sacrifice your time, whatever it is, your full-time business that you want, or your whatever you want, becomes a sacrifice. So you either can sacrifice what you want to get, or you can just let your whatever you want, it's going to be the sacrifice. So let's go through the first one. Wake up earlier. Oh my goodness. Where are the early birds out there? Where are the people that like to sleep in till 10 o'clock in the morning? And there's a lot of times the people sleep in at 10 o'clock in the morning. I think some of them probably are lazy, but I think some of them just go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So they need that 8 hours sleep. I've never been that way. The older I get, Brittany, about 9 o'clock at night, I'm already going, okay, where's my pillow?
Time.
Yeah, it's time to go to bed. You know the story where my wife and I were in Vegas not long ago, and we were in bed by 9 o'clock in Vegas. Who goes to bed at 9 o'clock at night in Vegas? Well, yours truly and my wife. We do that. So
I love it.
Yeah, so don't be looking for us out the street in Vegas partying, because You're
not partying. No,
we'll be out. So, but you have to wake up earlier, right? You have to get a sacrifice. But here's the kind of paint the picture. If you're working a full-time job, let's say you're working 9 to 5. I don't know too many jobs, 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Let's say 9 to 5. Let's say you have a 30-minute commute. So you get up at whatever time you get up, and you have to leave the house by, let's say, 8:15, because you want to give yourself some buffer in case you run into traffic. Plus, you want to be a good employee. You want to get there 15 minutes early, not just walk in last second before you're supposed to start your shift and clock in. You want to be a little bit early. So let's say you leave at 8:15, and then you don't get home till 6. And then let's say you're a single parent and you've got kids, and you've got to get them up, get them fed, get them dressed, get them off to school. And then you go and do your thing with your work. And then how do you do that? How do you wake up earlier? You're exhausted. You have a 2-year-old. The 2-year-old staying up until, 8, 9 o'clock at night, but then the 2-year-old is sick, right? And the 2-year-old, needs to be attended to. Brittany will be back on in a second. So how do you wake up earlier? How do you get that discipline and just, to be able to get up earlier? Brittany, I don't know. How do you develop that discipline to get up earlier? And what I was talking about, if you heard me, but let's say
I can hear you. Sorry. Every time I get a call, technical difficulties.
Okay.
So essentially, how do you get up earlier? I think a lot of it, we always talk about, I'm sure this will come up, motivation, right? The motivation aspect of it. It's not really motivation. It's just what you do. Like when you are starting a business, we all want to hit snooze. I want to hit snooze. We all do, like every day. But it's just essentially, it's what you just have to do. It's not really like motivation. It's just what you decide to put forward and go for it. So I think just getting a routine and waking up early is super important. You just have to do it. It's really just what it comes down to. You have to be able and willing instead of a want. It's just something that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The drive to do it.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing about alarm clocks. Do you use an alarm clock, Brittany?
Yeah. But okay. I wake up, my dog wakes me up before my alarm clock. So my dog is my alarm clock. Actually.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I haven't used an alarm clock in 20 years.
Really?
In 20 years. And that was when I was a chemical salesman. Sometimes had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
I still would not use alarm clock. You can do this now, guys. A side note, I'm telling you, and give yourself some practice. Do your alarm as a backup plan. But I'm telling you, you literally can tell yourself when to wake up and wake up. That is a fact. I heard that a long time ago. Thought it was BS. and I've been doing it for 20 years. I can tell
Jeez.
myself when to wake up. Like, okay, tomorrow morning I'm getting up at 5. Now it might not be exactly 5. It might be 4:45, 4:50, 5:02. It's going to be right in that window of 5 o'clock. You just tell yourself to do it, but you're going to have that discipline to wake up earlier. Now that's kind of the easy one. So, and it's not easy, but it's a little difficult. But that's kind of the probably one that's obvious. But use your breaks wisely at work, right? I mean, you're going to have a 15-minute break. You're going to have an hour lunch or so, depending on how long you work. What do you do during that time? You're like, well, man, I've got to eat. I've got to go out with my my friends at work and go to lunch and all that. You might have to forfeit some of that stuff and go to your car and text, or go to, if you're able to sit at your desk and eat, which a lot of times you're not, but sometimes you are. If you are, then you can utilize your email, your desk, and things like that. But you're going to have to use your breaks wisely. It comes down to that time management deal. And if you're not willing to sacrifice again for what you want, you'll never get there. And I had this person the other day. She called and she's still on the fence. And she just texted me out of the blue. And she goes, Matt, you got any discounts? And I had no idea who I was talking to. I mean, usually the email, the text will pop up, previous conversations and all. Nothing comes up. I'm like, I don't know who I'm talking to. So I get, chit-chatting with this person. Evidently, she was considering coming with us, Brittany, back in early 2023.
Wow.
And I said, well, what's changed? And she goes, I really want to do this. And I said, well, you really want to do it, I think, if I recall, back in early part of 2023. So that's almost 2 years ago. She goes, yeah. She goes, but man, I don't know. I've got to solve this issue. I've got to solve that problem and get this done. And I'm like, here she is. And no fault to her. If you're listening to me out there, no fault to you. I've been there. I've been in a funk in my life from 2010 to 2018. I've been an 8-year funk where I didn't know what to do, in terms of, like, I always wanted to do something, but never was proactive and disciplined enough to get it done for those 8 years. So I totally get where she's coming from. But she spent the better part of the last 2 years of her life that she'll never get back. Time is your greatest asset. You'll never get that back. And now she's at the same place that she was in 2023. What was the holdup? Could have been finances, could have been time, could have been a lot of things. Hey, I'm working a job, maybe, and I don't remember all her story, but maybe it was like, hey, I'm working a job and I don't have time to do this. But why are you still thinking about it 2 years later? If you're still thinking about something that's within you, there's something there that you need to tap into. That's either, if you're a Christian, God speaking to you. If you're not a Christian, that's the universe speaking to you. That's your subconscious mind speaking to you. That's your experience speaking to you. That's the right people in your life speaking to you, that you're just kind of recalling previous conversations, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But man, if you are still thinking about something, it's been a couple years, geez, you've got to respond to that. Brittany, what do you think?
Agreed, 100%. I mean, it's time either way. I always hear that time is going to pass either way. So take advantage of it now. Why wait? 6 months, 2 years, 1 year, to your point, 2 years later, still in her mind.
Yeah.
Still in her mind. Yep.
And it's just clouding her vision.
Yeah.
Because if you don't respond and I hate saying react, because that's kind of I don't like using that word.
Yeah.
But if you don't respond to what's in you to do that very thing, it's just going to come back to haunt you. And what's going to happen is, and this is what she was kind of experiencing 2 years later, she was regretting her decision not to move forward 2 years ago. Her life could have been drastically different in some ways. And there was times in my life where I just regretted not making a decision between 2010 and 2018. And finally just making the move, taking the risk to become an entrepreneur and get that done. Brittany, I think you froze a little bit. I'll let me know when you come back on. But use your breaks wisely. Number 3, time block evenings and weekends. This is a hard thing to do, because this becomes the greatest sacrifice that you'll have. Is you'll have to not just ignore people, but you have to tell people no. Meaning, people are going to say, Matt, let's go here, let's do this, let's go to this game and do all that. And you got to say, no, I can't, because I'm doing my business. And people are not going to understand what you're doing and why it can't be delayed. Like, come on, man, you're just starting. Like, it's no big deal if you take a night to go out and party with your friends or go to the game. Just take a night off. And what happens is, when you take the night off from doing what you're supposed to do with your business, your part-time deal, because you're still working full-time, right? If you take the night off, it's just that much easier to take the next night off. It's that much easier to blow it off in another week. And pretty soon you're like the previous lady I talked about. It's been 2 years now since you've been thinking about something, instead of going at it, in incremental stages. Like, go at something. It's the old expression, and I hate the expression because I've never eaten a freaking elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I hate that expression. I've never tasted an elephant, never desired to. But the principle is this: you have to go at it a step at a time. You have to chip at what you want one step at a time. And you have to block your evenings and your weekends, and especially your weekends. Now, because if you're a single parent, like the previous example I gave earlier, you're going to have like a half an hour commute going back home. And then you're going to have to tend to kids, make dinner, and get them off to bed, all that stuff. You might have to about to get an hour or so in the evening doing your business. But it's the weekends. Your kids might be old enough to playing, video games, or they're with their grandma, or, they're spending the overnight at a friend's house if they're old enough, and you condone that, but then you're home by yourself for a little bit of time. Instead of vegging out in front of the TV, instead of vegging out in front of your your favorite show, whatever your favorite thing is to do, it's like, I gotta get busy and get on my business. I remember a lady, I can't remember her name. Her first name is Lisa. I can't remember her last name. Such an inspiration. I heard a lot, several years back. And she literally started her business in a closet. I've got a built-in office right here, as you see. I got an office upstairs, but she didn't have anything. And this lady now, fast forward to today, is a multi-millionaire. She is so far surpassed where I'm at. And she started off in a closet, but she was dedicated to get what she needed to get done, right? And here's the thing you're going to ask. I mean, as you are a full-time employee and you're trying to do your business, you're saying, okay, Matt, you say, wake up earlier, use my breaks, wisely. Now you're telling me to block out some time, but how do I do this? And I can give you a little bit of a little thing here. Do not start asking how to do something. If you get caught doing playing the how game, you'll never get started. You just got to start whatever it is you're doing, right? Look for problems. Don't look for business ideas. That's what I did for years, right? I looked for business ideas. I'd go online and just, or get magazines at Barnes and Noble. What are their top 20, side hustles you can do? And I'm looking, researching all this kind of stuff. Don't do that. What you want to do is look for problems. Look for problems in your area. Look for problems, how you can help people. And you go about that thing, and then there becomes your idea, right? So, Brittany, we're talking about blocking evenings and weekends, just following our passion. But I kind of got to the point where I'm talking about, don't get caught in doing the how game, right? How do I do something? Start doing, look for problems, not just business ideas. And I was telling the audience how that's what I did, for that period of time. I was looking for business ideas. I go online, I get a magazine at Barnes and Noble, and I'm just looking like all these business ideas. Oh, I could do that. I might be able to do that. I'm not sure about that one, and that can be okay for, for creativity purposes. But what you really need to do is look for a problem that you can solve. And that's what we do in the senior placement business. It's a problem that we can solve for people. And so there's many other things. So anyway, what do you think about the time block evenings and weekends, the sacrifice that we're going to have to make? It is real. It's easier to say online. I know it's easier to, like, throughout the day at work, go, okay, this weekend, I'm going to devote all day Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday to my business. And then actually do that is the difficult thing.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry. Every time I get a call, like I said, it blocks me out. So I just want to make sure I'm coming through okay. So you're going to have to block time in the evenings and on weekends. I think cool ways to do it too is like Google Calendar, whatever calendar that you use. Take that 10 to 15 minutes or even 45 minutes of a Netflix episode, and instead of doing the Netflix episode, work on something, work on an idea, work on your next marketing idea, whatever that is. I saw this thing. It was like one Netflix episode can get so much done instead of just sitting down watching Netflix or your TV shows. Go ahead and work on your business. Go ahead and take that 45 minutes to think about ideas for networking, think of ideas for marketing. And, whether it be evenings or weekends, you're going to have to set that time, because if you're working 9 to 5 and have a full-time job, there's not much time to do that. So you have to find time and making sure like you stick to it when you say you're going to do it.
Yeah, I got this one guy I follow. I totally agree. This one guy I follow. He said years ago, and he watched a little TV. Now he's up in age, and he's a multimillionaire now. But he said when he was flat broke, man, he didn't even have a TV in his house. He said it was like he called it, I think, electronic income reducer or something like that. Like it's going to make you dumber. It's going to bring your income down. He was already broke. He says, man, last thing I want to do is go, put on the TV and watch somebody else living their dream when I'm living a nightmare. And that's so true. It's kind of like, man, we're watching other people and we're celebrating them, which is a great thing. You need to celebrate people, but sometimes we get caught up. And I'll use the sports arena because Brittany, I'll watch sports a lot and all that stuff. And so that's a nice thing to do, and it's a nice thing to be a part of in your life. But if I was flat broke, I would not be watching the games that I'm watching. And I still don't watch as much as I used to watch. I remember I was flat broke when I first got married. My gosh, man, we had an apartment. This was, I had my little 13-inch black and white TV on an ironing board in the bedroom. Oh, it's beautiful. People would love it, right? It's a great thing to see, right? And I remember going home from church and laying in bed, taking a nap, and had the football game on. And that's all I did all afternoon. And I lived in Virginia at the time, so the games came on at 1 and 4. And so, by the time you finish all that, it's like 7:30 at night, and it's like time to, if you haven't eaten yet, you eat, you get ready, you got to go to bed, and so you waste all that day. And what you could have done, what I could have done, is I could have utilized all that time to identify a problem and begin to solve that problem, begin to put something in motion to start a business to help my family out. Instead, I was just getting lost in the football thing because that's all I did all my life, right? So you got to block evenings and weekends, and you've got to limit distractions, set boundaries. If you don't limit distractions, and I'm telling you, people in your life that are not the place you want to be, let me put it bluntly. The people in your life that are not at the place you want to be, don't take their advice from them when they haven't got to the place you want to be. For example, I hear about so many people, and I see this sometimes. People ask other people for money advice, and the person they're asking is flat broke. I have no idea why that makes zero sense. That'd be like me trying to play football, which I did back in the day, and didn't know anything about being a quarterback, which I was. And I'm asking somebody who's never played the game before, doesn't know what a football is, and I'm asking them how to perform the duties of a quarterback and how to be successful. But I'm asking that person who's never played the game before and doesn't understand any of it. It doesn't make any sense. Don't talk to people about your dreams. My gosh, this is where you got to set some boundaries, because there's plenty of people out there, you guys, that you talk to them about your dreams. They're just going to try to, oh man, put it off. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I understand. You got big dreams. I know. I used to have big dreams too, man. I just kind of like, nothing's going to happen. I tried. I failed. Well, just because that person failed doesn't mean you're going to fail. I saw a post from Alex Ramosi just the other day, and evidently he failed his first 6 businesses. I had no idea. And he says, you know what? First business I set out to do, failed. Second, failed. Third, failed. Fourth, failed. Fifth, failed. Sixth, failed. And then boom. The point is, don't give up. But if you don't limit distractions and set boundaries, I don't know. I mean, but how does a person practically do that, Brittany? Let's say they do have the pressure of outside friends or family and doing a lot of things. I mean, how do you just, without just saying it, how do you just come out and tell these people no without the worry of hurting their feelings?
That's a hard one. Every relationship is different. I think a way to do it is, instead of like obviously saying flat out no, is letting them know that you have other priorities. Like if it's something where they're like wanting you to come over, or I don't know in what instance, but if they're trying to distract you as far as like they're getting you, I don't know, if your friends want to go out every Friday, Saturday night, and go to the bars or whatever that looks like, or, your friends want to play or do fantasy football and, hang out with the wives, and you need to set that Sunday out to be able to work on your business. I think it's okay and very natural to say things like, well, I already have obligations. Like, instead of just saying flat out no, like, you can let them know I already have obligations and that I have to take time to do things. I found you don't owe it to anybody to explain everything. Like you said, don't tell people your
Yeah.
dreams, they'll knock them down. So just tell people you have obligations. Eventually they get it. It's funny. I don't know if you can relate. I always say my clients are not my family, and honestly,
Yeah.
not my friends. And that's probably true to 90, I don't know, percent of businesses. I've had my own family in my business contact a national company as opposed to going through me. So to
Wow.
yeah. So
That's crazy.
my point to that is, especially when you're starting something new, like you said, people usually don't support your dreams
Yeah.
if they've already tried it, or whatever that looks like. I just think, though, to set boundaries is to let them know you already have obligations, and that's,
Absolutely.
in my opinion, all you owe people.
Yeah, I mean, and think of it in terms this way. What Brittany says true. I mean, it's easy to say no when you're not feeling good, right? Let's say you're sick and everybody, your friends want to go out. Oh, I can't because, and we always feel like we need to give a reason, and we don't need to give a reason, right? Because hey, I'm sick or whatever. Just think of it in terms of that way. Like, okay, all my friends want to go out, family wants to do certain things, but this time is set aside for me to work on my business. So I won't have to pass on this one, you guys. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm working on something.
Yep.
Well, what are you working on? Yeah, then I would be careful who you share that with. I mean, it's easier to let people know that you have arrived than it is to let them know you're getting ready to start something. Because see, I did that whole thing back when I first started. I was telling people what I was going to do and what I was doing, and some people were supportive, but then some people were like, "Oh yeah, right, man. Yeah, let me know when you get there." And now that I've arrived at a certain level, not the place I want to be, but I mean, we've done a lot of things and we're growing. So now a lot of those same people have come back going, "Oh my gosh, all right, man." Now they kind of expect it, and some of those same people now are asking us for money.
Yeah, can I say something?
That's
Now,
funny, isn't it?
the
The
people
same
that
people there to say, "Hey, you
yeah,
can't do it," or "We don't think you'll do it," now are coming back going, "Hey, can I have a little
the
bit?"
people that doubted you ask if you're hiring.
Oh, I like that. Have you had that experience?
I have, and actually, Angie, one of our students or whatever, she actually got me a cup that says work so hard that your haters ask if you're hiring, and it was funny, and
I
I was like,
love
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
love that.
I have had that happen. I was actually, just a side note, when I started, my old boss, sorry if you're hearing this, if you're on YouTube, but my
He's
old
probably a big follower of us, right?
yeah, anyway, in senior living, actually, in senior living, should know this industry, right? Should,
Yeah.
to a point. Said that I was starting a tax scam, actually, is his exact words. And he was like a mentor to me. And it
He
was
thought
disheartening.
what you're doing is a tax scam.
Yep.
Wow, I don't understand that. But anyway,
Neither, but it was just like, as a side note, like, to our, just kind of to piggyback off, like, if
yeah,
I would have listened to him, or if I would have listened to anybody actually that had doubted me in the beginning, we wouldn't be where we are today.
yeah,
And not that we're where we want to be, but it's how far we've grown. So those people that want to, like, go out, if you're younger, or not even younger, but if they want to go and
yeah.
party or like do all these things, like, again, the time still passes. This time is still going to pass. So just let them know that you have obligations. I think that's a really good way to, like you said, don't let them know your journey. Let them see that you arrived.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
such a much better thing. And you know, that little thing that Angie gave you is so true. And it's just, you know, you're going to have people that support you at the beginning when you do something. You're going to have the haters. You're going to have here's the hardest part. You're going to have people that you think appreciate you and support you, and they really don't. And they're really secretively rooting that you fail, because they don't want you to achieve something that they couldn't have achieved or didn't want to, or decided, you know, that they tried and just doesn't work out. They don't want to see you be more successful. And I think that's really sad. I have encountered a lot of people that are super grateful of other people being successful. I'm one of them. I've always, like, if I saw somebody with a fantastic car or something like that, my immediate thought would not be, "Oh my gosh, look at that showboat," whatever. I look at it going, "Man, that's amazing. Love that car. Man, it's awesome. How'd you get that?" I mean, you got to ask questions, right? It's another thing if you want to start your own business and you're still working full time. The better the questions, the better the answers. Start asking questions. Do not become envious. Do not be hateful toward other people. Do not talk bad about them. The people that are further along than you are, man, celebrate their success. Really, that does something for you. It really does. When you are able to celebrate somebody's success, kind of a little sidebar, but it just really helps in doing your business. And as you're celebrating your success and other people's success, another option, another way to kind of do a business that you're, on a side is try to batch similar tasks together. I learned this not long ago, actually, several years ago, I think it was. Like if you're videotaping, do all your video things together. If you're doing emails, do all your emails. I've heard people over the years, and I didn't really get it then, but they had a certain time, like they respond to emails between 3 and 4. They respond their phone calls between 4 and 5. And what they're doing is they're just batching similar tasks together where they can stay focused on that task and move it forward. What I was guilty of, and it prevented me from starting to become an entrepreneur, again, that kind of that period between 2010, 2018, is that I would try something, do a little bit of that, and then I'd move over here and do a little bit of this and go, that sounds kind of cool. I got this idea because I'm always coming to these ideas. I go, okay, let me go do a little bit of this. And before you know it, you're spread so thin, you're not really doing anything, or you're not doing as much as you could. So batch similar tasks together. So meaning this, let's say you're at your job and you're able to respond to emails during lunch, then that's your response time to emails. If you're able to make phone calls, get Bluetooth in your car or whatever, maybe you got that 30-minute commute. Guess what? You don't have to listen to the radio. You don't have to listen to talk shows and rock and roll and country and everything else. You can spend the 30, 40 minutes in your car on that commute making phone calls, more than just your friends and family and things like that, which are important. I'm not minimizing that, but it's just maybe your time saying, okay, this is my business and I want to respond. I've already responded to email. Now the person wants to talk to me. So on the way home, I'm going to call them and I got 30 minutes to spend with them. That is a cool thing to do. So have you experienced any of that, Brittany, how to effectively batch similar tasks together? Do you do that, number one? And if you do, which I'm not saying you do because I didn't do it for years, but if you do, what are some kind of clues to how to do that effectively?
I would say in the beginning, I definitely did. Now, no, because it's kind of, as you know, we wear many hats. So I can't designate certain times to do things. So I'm kind of like all over the place in a chaotic, organized way. But when I first started and I was still working full-time 100%, if you only have that 45 minutes or an hour of that block, you have to make it worth your time. Because, I could have 10 emails pulled up, then my phone rings and I call somebody. Then, like you said, you're spread so thin. Different example. Yeah. I got nothing done. I've got 10 drafts. I got maybe one phone call accomplished. So, yeah, I think use your time. Like, again, to your point, if you have 45-hour, 30-minute lunch, make that time every day for calls. Make that time every day. Send out 5 marketing emails to meet with people.
Absolutely.
Things like that. So, yeah, it's definitely doable. If you're going to be limited on time, if you're working 9 to 5 in person, especially if you're remote, probably a little bit of a different story, but you only have so much time. So take that and say, put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
12 to 12:45 emails, 12 to 12:45 calls, whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. And then the sixth thing is leverage productivity tools, kind of get some things to kind of help you out electronically, online stuff. We won't go over that today. You kind of get the idea. And then plan your week ahead. That's really huge. You got to plan your week ahead. And that's where the discipline comes in. So you're able to, like, maybe a Sunday. I know a lot of people do that. I kind of treat all days the same, but I'm at a different place where I'm thinking I'm not doing this part-time. But if you're doing it part-time, you got to really be intentional about putting that thing, whatever it is, in your calendar. And if you're not intentional about putting it in your calendar, I guarantee you're not going to do it. And you're going to be like the lady I talked to a couple of years later. She's still trying to do something. So it just, because if you're not intentional, it's just going to go by the wayside. And it just really is. So you've got to do that. So plan your week ahead. And those are just some different things that we want to go over with you today. I encourage all of you, if you want to become an entrepreneur, not saying it's the best thing in the world, as it is for me. I love it. It may not be for you. You might be a lifelong W-2, and that's okay. I'm not trying to judge or, make us better than you and all that stuff. I'm just being honest with you. It has provided a lot of freedom for us, financial freedom, freedom to do the things that I want to do. I never have to ask the boss, can I go take a break? When's lunch? Can I go on vacation? All those kind of things. I just go on vacation. And the cool thing about what we do, Brittany, you just flew into Missouri. It's just like, hey, and I know you got an agency there, but you can fly anywhere. And, as long as you have your phone, things like that, you can actually be contacting and responding to emails and phone calls and things like that. So try to get, if it's a senior placement business, great. We could teach you that. Just drop down, click the link. If it's something else you're doing, try to make it where it's something you can utilize your phone, and it's low cost kind of deal, right? You don't want to have a business model where the cost of something is so high that you can't afford it, number one. And then it takes a lot of money to run the business, right? You want it to be kind of fluid, and you want it to be able to flow through your daily activities. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, stick with your full-time job would be our recommendation, and start something on the side. And versus leaving your full-time job, it's a big risk. I know I had to do it, but that was a conflict of interest. Still, we encourage anyone to keep their full-time job. Do this part-time. Add another $100,000 to your top line. See what that looks like at the end of the year when you have that in your bank account. And what does that do? How that motivates you to continue on? I don't know. It would motivate me. I know that. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, God bless.